boo, boo, boo. Hands up, crack the sky open, put your hands up. Okay, KATSEYE is on this list. I'm telling you now to give you some time to draft the think pieces about why they cannot possibly be considered in fun discussions about K-pop. Number 25 is HUNTR, don't miss how it's done, done, done. I think K-pop Demon Hunters is obviously incredibly well researched, but it outlines so well that the genre that is K-pop, however difficult that is to pin down, is so highly intertextual. A lot of people don't want to have that conversation. I don't think we're ready for that conversation. This movie comes at a bad time in that sense, but a great time to breathe some life back into the industry. I am so excited to see what long-term impact this movie has on K-pop, you know, visually and musically harkening back to the maximalism many of us have come to miss. Even the fantasy elements of the film, I'm very, very excited. It makes me so hopeful for K-pop going forward for sure. How It's Done opens K-pop Demon Hunters with a blast of trap-infused beats, sharp rhythmic phrasing, along with often explosive vocal performances that establish the film's ethos. Hard-hitting percussion, especially in the choruses, gives the track a really kind of weaponized edge. All of it spotlights each member's personality and role in the group so nicely. All of the sonic layering bridges the group's dual identity as glamorous K-pop idols, yet also these supernatural hunters, letting the music function as the bridge between those two distinctions or realities. Yeah. HUNTR, don't miss how it's done, done, done. I love this song. Number 24 is Makeup by The Deep. This is a K-pop adjacent song. The Deep is an independent Korean singer-songwriter and producer. She produces her own work. Most of what you see from The Deep is her, which is insane to think about. Makeup as a song wraps vulnerable introspection in a soft electropop soundscape where The Deep's husky and breathy voice floats over delicate synth textures and very minimalistic beats. The repetition of lines like "Can you love me?" and the very layered "Makeup for mistakes" as refrains echo a sense of hesitation and a little self-deprecation. She confesses insecurity beneath a very polished outward image, symbolized by, quote, thick layers of makeup. It's a double play on making up for mistakes made in a relationship, but also about the cosmetic kind of makeup, a metaphor for concealing things you aren't ready to show anyone else. The line, quote, "make up for mistakes" seems like it refers to both in a lot of ways, putting on metaphorical makeup to conceal any mistakes. The airy percussion and restrained delivery mirror this emotional concealment at the heart of the lyrics. The music itself becomes the cosmetic makeup, reinforcing a mood of fragility and yearning, and I guess the hope that someone might eventually love her for her unguarded self. Very unique from a songwriting perspective. It reminds me a lot of the way that Sunmi used to play with lyrics and song titles like Siren and Gotta Go. Number 23 is Hands Up by MEOVV. Still kind of upset that we didn't get a FIFA collaboration for this song, but you know what? We move regardless. Hands Up steadily grows to life over time using a Brazilian funk beat. We're pulled along into senses of determination with bold synths throughout, building up to a moment of complete realization. It starts with a kinetic tone that pays off so nicely at the layered breakdown at the end, outlining a defiance and ambitious drive to, quote, crack the sky open, the ability to do anything you want, or maybe the moment you decide you can do anything you want. The final jagged vocal breakdown reminds me of the moment of dulled senses and building adrenaline where Katniss is pulled into the tube after Lenny Kravitz dies in the Hunger Games. Like the moment where you say, "I'm going back into the arena." Maybe my favorite MEOVV title track at the moment. 22, Jump by BLACKPINK. Still kind of the same sentiments as the video I made about this song. The Western sounding guitar riff continues to be the star of the show for me. I think it's because it's so surprising on a song like this, but works incredibly well to pull together the maddening urge to let everything go. Rosé and Jisoo hint at these unleashed emotions, and then Jennie and Lisa call the listeners to rise up, whispering for us to join in and literally jump towards freedom. And I will be jumping. I have been jumping, actually.
Upside down, upside down, upside down, upside down.
21, Upside Down Kiss by TXT. The spirit of SHINee was in the studio. The astral projection of Minho himself rested his hands on the shoulders of TXT in the studio when this song was created. Upside Down Kiss is a very sleek blend of pop, a little bit of hip hop, and new jack swing? Don't Don't quote me on that last one. I think you could consider this new jack swing. You know, minimalist bass lines and retro-esque synthesizers that evoke a very defiant tone, a mid-tempo groove that feels both intimate and tense, reflective of this song's sentiments about emotional freedom and what all it takes to get there, defying gravity, not in a wicked sense. Well, yeah, kind of in a wicked sense. It's sort of betraying what is natural for people and leaning into a connection even when it feels like the world around you wants to pull you apart. Love this song. We will eventually need to have a conversation about song durations when it comes to TXT. I have previously been very neutral about short songs, but I feel the sting when it comes to this group. They're supposed to be the whimsical long title group, and I guess there's an argument that the magic and flair is coming to an end as we conclude this chapter and grow into adults, but I don't know. I think there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place. I think we can find the space to grow up and still be introspective for closer to 3 minutes in duration. Please, please.
Yeah, you got that.
Number 20 is Bad Desire by ENHYPEN. We're talking about vampires and 2000s boy band aesthetics and soundscapes, two of my current special interests. They made this song for me specifically. Bad Desire is a sleek, kind of darkly dance pop track layered with brooding synths and a pulsing bass. The production builds so deliberately, balancing this narrative sense of restraint and release. Vocals are clipped and textured at times, sometimes so eerily processed like in the bridge, and I think that helps to outline the emotional friction of desire and the dynamic of embracing or resisting that. You kind of lose yourself in obsession. The song portrays that musically so well, kind of knowing that the loss of self is inevitable to a certain extent. There's a level of angst to the production and the vocals and the performance that reminds me of the back half of the Twilight movie franchise, where the actors all kind of agreed to lean into the melodrama and almost unbelievably comical angst that the books demanded. It's a very self-aware sense of angst on this song, which I really, really appreciate. Number 19, Baditude by Twice, still a contender for my favorite from the album. I talked about this song in detail on my This Is For album review. I really like the sound and demeanor on Twice. It's something that I hope we see more of going forward. You know, this commanding bass-heavy instrumentation and brass horn stabs that ground the boldness of the lyrics. It harkens back to what Twice was originally going to be, this combative kind of pop music like we saw on Do It Again, but transforms it in a way that's informed by everything they've been through since that point. Really, really legacy-building music, as silly as the presentation can be at times. Number 18, Can I Get a Minute Please? Get a Little Room to Breathe. There They Go by KiiiKiii. Oddly enough, I've returned to all of the B-sides more than the title tracks with this group. I think their debut was amazing overall and will really age well over time as KiiiKiii continues to establish their identity. There They Go outlines that there's so much conceptual texture to this group when it comes to their identity and sound. It is a bass-driven R&B inflected track, anchored by a crisp marching snare and subtle vocal chops that act as instrumental texture, creating a fresh and unknowable groove. The production leans on minimalist vintage synth tones and vocal samples, along with rhythmic breathing sounds to evoke a playful yet very mysterious atmosphere. Kind of liminal in execution, the song doesn't do a lot to explain itself or what's going to happen next, but also has no problems with being transparent lyrically about this group's intentions. Kind of the whole KiiiKiii brand in a lot of ways. I really, really like this song.
And yes, God bless even the mean girls.
17 is Mean Girls by KATSEYE, and yes, God bless even the mean girls. I like this song for so many reasons. I think it's very indicative of the experience that has been KATSEYE, emblematic of most of their struggles in this first chapter of their career and learning to navigate that. You can't really need to be understood in a celebrity sense. You can't move about the world expecting everyone to see you for who you are and your intentions. There's so much that goes into that, and I think Mean Girls begins to break through the surface of this topic. Yes, even the mean girls deserve grace. There's a lot left unsaid, but there is a meaning in that. Literally the essence of the album's title, Beautiful Chaos. Number 16, Don't Say You Love Me by Jin. This song is a soft, melancholic pop ballad of magnificent proportions. I really, really like the sparing, restrained arrangement that allows Jin's voice to shine with genuinely such strikingly poignant clarity, like echoing the raw ache of a relationship in its final stage, the grief and denial of realizing how hard it is to let a functioning relationship take its last breaths, even if you know it isn't good for you and you have to let it go. go. There are subtle synths that gently pulse beneath each line delivered, working to hold the emotional tension rather than release it, which is so important. I think this song adds a profound edge to the narrative with that in mind. Jin, as our narrator, is the one who is holding on to this relationship longer than he should. He's saying, you just gotta let me go, but he's the one holding on, right? He continuously repeats himself. I think the song is so well composed in a narrative sense. The simplicity ensures that when Jin's high notes soar in the chorus, they land with such a heartbreaking impact as the instrumentation just pulls back to let the vulnerability resonate. All of it embodies the delicate balance of letting go without love being, I guess, weaponized in some ways, a musical realization of heartbreak disguised as a pseudo kind of composure. Yes, honorable mention is Rope It from the same album. Literally Busan Hold'em. I was stunned the first time I heard it. Highly recommend the whole Echo album if you haven't tuned in already. Number 15, Attitude by IVE. You have to see the vision with the Tom's Diner sample, and when you do, everything changes. It frames the song's high energy, almost electro-disco pulse with a universally familiar appeal. It's a bold choice, but as always when it comes to IVE, serves more than just a musical decoration. It anchors the track in empathy and self-assertion, suggesting that confidence or even just resolve can be shaped in moments you can't control. The sample then becomes both a rhythmic motif for Attitude and an emotional anchor for its narrative, reinforcing the song's message that when life throws its curves, the one thing you can shift is your own attitude. The sample just steadily trails along, outlining a path for you to walk down in the most tumultuous moments of life. Very excellent music. 14, ATEEZ In Your Fantasy. Similar to ENHYPEN, the Justin Timberlakeification of K-pop was sudden, but I really like it. I really love this sound, especially on ATEEZ. In Your Fantasy is a masterclass in minimalist electro-funk, drawing clear inspiration from the mid-2000s, of course Timbaland vibes. Very Justin Timberlake, I'm surprised, but I cannot complain about. It's inspired by these sounds, but above that, it is so well researched. I think that's what I love about it the most. The production is packed with sharp staccato synths and a crunchy bass line that feels like it's being picked straight out of a nightclub scene from the 2000s. Yeah, I think another thing that stands out to me is how the song maintains a sense of tension throughout. In Your Fantasy doesn't rely on explosive choruses or dramatic drops, yet it still builds a slow burning intensity that lingers. This is a growing problem in K-pop that ATEEZ tackles very well. Subdued songs still need to have some kind of texture or nuance to their presentation. In Your Fantasy is less about shouting for attention and more about drawing you into their world. Excellent, excellent music.
'Cause I only cry in a rain. 이렇게 비가 오면
13, Only Cry in the Rain by CHUU. Wow, what a song. Peak K-pop of the year in many ways, just for how unique it is. Only Cry in the Rain kind of drifts along on an ethereal bed of very airy synth pop. The muted melodies throughout force you to focus on the melancholy in CHUU's vocal performance. We have a narrator who, very true to CHUU, wants to see the bright side of everything, but is genuinely at a point in her life where she can't help but let the sorrow overwhelm her. It's been building up for far too long. This song and the album as an extension is an admittance that there should be time where you let the bad feelings in, enough to understand them, to be able to move on. Pushing away or putting off what makes you feel sad, and refraining from confronting that makes the metaphorical rainstorms of life even harder to deal with. It's better to reconcile as best you can along the way. Long, drawn-out vocals and chords that cycle along with minimal progression feel almost suspended in place at times. This mirrors the feeling of being emotionally stuck, right? Unable to move forward from the memory of what has been lost. A lot to consider emotionally. The song is very heavy, but so great.
born again, babe, to be born again. Tuesday, just another view now.
Number 12, Born Again by Lisa, Doja Cat, and Ray. Almost did not include this song or any song from the Lisa album. I would have believed you at a certain point if you told me this song was released 2 years ago and not 6 months ago. Completely forgot this was a 2025 release. The instrumental bed of Born Again just doesn't let up. I think that's what I like about this song the most. It delivers a relentless groove and layered texture to underscore the narrative's emotional weight. Each beat, synth layer, and rhythmic shift amplifies the dramatic sense of what all was lost by the ex's absence in the story. Every pulse is just a reminder of the fervent connection that could have been if only they had just tried to stay another few nights. A very insistent instrumentation transforms the lyrics into more than just a breakup song. It's a moment of rebirth and realization that the subject lost out on something truly unforgettable. Born Again functions as a kind of self-realization in the wake of condemning someone who really didn't value you, a perfect way to open any album, and themes that I really wish we would have seen more of on Lisa's album. I love this kind of growing a new narrative that was introduced with Born Again and also New Woman, of course, one of my favorite songs of last year. Number 11, Stunner by 10. I have been desperately piecing together a review of this album. I think it is genuinely 10 at the height of his craft as a performer, and the songs do so well to outline his ability in making even the most traditional pop sounds feel dynamic with very rich textures. His voice glides so effortlessly through the pre-choruses that bring a sense of sweeping drama, and then the chorus is dropped down to cling with rapid-fire phrasing, building up even more momentum as the track unfolds. 10's really mastery of tone and pacing allows him to own every moment of this song, despite how dynamic each section ends up being. He becomes his own feature at times, taking on a rap verse, yet swings right back into singing like nothing happened. 10 out of 10, really. Number 10 is This Is For by Twice. I think I always saw the vision for this song, but it has taken me a bit to really appreciate this as a title track. A lot of people, I think, justifiably criticize it for feeling underdeveloped due to how short it is and its repetitive frameworks, but I would defend it in the sense that I think its production smartly uses minimal yet deliberate sonic flourishes. I'm talking specifically about the understated synths in the chorus. They kind of punch through the arrangement in ways that feel meaningful. They glow very softly beneath the vocals, adding subtle momentum and a melodic warmth that elevates the chorus's rallying spirit without overwhelming the mix. It's kind of restrained to help the chorus feel both intimate but also energizing at the same time. We are still at the club and we need to take to the dance floor. Yeah, I think those synths are the standout. They really enhance the song's role as a very compact, maybe too compact, confidence-boosting anthem that works as an insignia to the rest of the This Is For album. Very, very excellent. Number 9, Do the Dance by ILLIT. ILLIT is really the best K-pop group in the market right now in terms of concept work, presentation, and delivery. There's really nobody else doing it quite like this group. Do the Dance layers a dreamy Eurodance backbone, sparkling synths, and surprisingly upbeat French house rhythms. With that romantic, anime-styled string motif from the 5-Star Stories, it all gives the track a classical and very nostalgic glimmer. The whimsical strings soften the song's energetic pulse, providing a fluttery or anticipating feeling, while also interjecting the whimsical, cinematic charm that beautifully mirrors the song's playful nervousness and magical sensibilities. A combining of very unlikely genres to present something that feels genuinely unique to ILLIT as a group. And like I said with HUNTR, I do not subscribe to the ideas about plagiarism when it comes to ILLIT. I think it really is just people in denial over how intertextual K-pop can be. ILLIT are fast on their way to becoming the most distinguishable K-pop group to date, and Do the Dance is their strongest, most concise venture to date. Number 8, Options by Twice. I literally think this is the pinnacle of K-pop in the current day. Momo's rap verse has had a demonic hold over my mind and spirit. I think it's a great song, but more than that, is so self-aware in a way that I think K-pop songs tend to miss when it comes to making fully English tracks. The song is about having options in romance, being picky when choosing a potential love interest. Simple enough in premise, but so much dimension is added with Momo's verse, steering the track even more playful as she comically stops the song to consider which one she should choose. Incredible, incredible. Again, legacy-defining work for Twice. I hope they retain this style going forward. Number 7, Like Jennie by Jennie. I am biased because Jennie is among the pantheon of choujimi ults, but I really think this song is just so well composed. I think what pulls at me the most is Jennie's sheer vocal performance. The rap verse where she says, "Get out of my way." There's a strain or break in her voice that makes it feel like she's really shoving someone. And you know what? Consider me shoved. Consider me shoved. When I'm running in the park, this song transforms into Who Wanna Rock with Jimmy? Keep your hair done, nails done like Jimmy. Who else got him obsessed like Jimmy? So I have even more bias for the self-insert properties of this song.
Fantasize, everybody all starry-eyed. Sweet as
Number 6, Sweet as Sin by 10. Stunner is excellent in its own right, but Sweet as Sin is even more above that at this moment in time for me. I think this song excels at letting 10's vocal personality fill out the rest of the picture that the production and lyricism begins to draw. Sweet as Sin exerts an electrifying pull, driven by pulsing pop production that feels both glamorous and very sinister at times, or dangerous. It all underscores the song's blend of allure and volatility. The mix of dark tones lets the music itself feel forbidden yet so irresistible, giving the track its own magnetic presence and unnerving charisma. There is so much character to this song. Number 5 is High Horse by NMIXX. I don't know, you guys. At this point, the High Horse is sick of me. There's genuinely nothing left to say about this song. This is my, 6th or 7th time talking about it in the 3 or 4 months it's been out. I made a whole video dedicated to High Horse, which I will link below. I can't say much more on this. Number 4, Gnarly by KATSEYE. Wow, everything was gnarly. I never questioned this song. I do not blame people who did. Gnarly has really become its own moment in pop culture and exposed what I think is an interesting relationship that most people have with hyperpop and also just absurdist expressions in general. I really believe there's a significance in the fact that this song didn't fit a group like KATSEYE at the time of its release, which in turn speaks to what I think, Gen Z at least, what we perceive as authentic. This song oddly resonates as authentic in the way that it's not authentic. I don't know how to describe it in a way that makes sense. It plays to how liberally we tend to contradict ourselves, especially online. I don't know that I would say that this was the artistic intention behind Gnarly, but it really has grown to become its own cultural moment like no other. I really love this song. Number 3 is Sign by IZNA. I've said it before, and I mean it when I say, sometimes the YG formula works, and this is one of those instances where Teddy got in the studio and remembered exactly who he was. Sign is nothing if not a polished dance pop aesthetic. It's really synths that work along with delicate guitar flourishes and, of course, Teddy's trademark instrumental focused pop sensibilities. It all works so well together to craft a dreamy, emotionally resonant atmosphere. The verses move with a subdued, almost anticipating rhythm, setting up an expressive pre-chorus and finally bursting into a bright anthemic hook that channels romantic urgency and yearning. I love K-pop songs about yearning, the musical embodiment of quite desperately asking for a sign from the person they like. I know a common argument against this song is that it lacks a sense of immersion, characteristic to problems with Teddy and the Black Label recently universally, but I don't know, I really see the vision on this song. The pre-chorus and chorus do so much to capture the emotional resonance needed to take this song to a 10. I also think the members of IZNA do a lot to achieve the expressive clarity needed to convey this sense of emotional longing. Very excellent song. Number 2 is Yum by Kep1er, K-pop adjacent. This is a Japanese single. I made a community post about this a couple of months ago and I still strongly believe Yum is randomly just the best song of all time. Thank you, Kep1er. I did not know that I needed this. This song is thrilling, with an electrifying dance pop surge wrapped in a bold, very sugary coating. The refrain, "It's sweet and yum," becomes both a catchy hook and a metaphor for truly relentless charisma. The chorus is the star of the show by far, the members almost having to shout over a wall of industrial sounds. There is so much dramatic intensity to the final product that I just have to keep returning. I keep returning to the freaky show me hold it down. And number 1 is The Chase by Hearts to Hearts. I think this came at a bad time in a sense that people are rightfully exhausted with these exact sounds and aesthetics in K-pop, but genuinely, I think it is so well researched and will grow to become more and more significant over time. This is such a solid, generation-defining debut, even just a couple of months in retrospect. The Chase functions as a dreamlike synth-pop adventure anchored by a bold, bass-heavy synth that propels the track's dynamic shifts and often very mysterious progression. The production blends surreal and whimsical textures with addictive pop polish, offering both a sense of curious exploration and self-determination. There's such an unexplainable feeling and meaning to speaking on behalf of the subject, who in turn can't really speak for themselves. Quote, "I love the way you love the chase." There's a very profound dimension to the song's meaning and how the almost mind-numbing textures to the production play into that. And yeah, those are the best K-pop songs of 2025 so far, in my opinion. Please let me know what you think. What are your favorite songs from this year? Which layer of hell do you think I'm going to for not including your favorite song? And things like that. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.